All right, this is Melvin Ramon. Let's talk about music. Yeah, so the other day I'm out there watching. Mike Seatown puts up a video and says, "Hey, this is something we got to do. Great opportunity for since everybody's locked inside to get some conversations going." And I was, yeah, let's do it. And then I haven't made a video yet. So here we go. Excuse me, I'm washing my hands all the time. It's on my camera. My face is gonna itch. Hey, let's do this. Let's make some videos. First up, well, Vinyl Richie has showed this album a couple of times recently, Mutations from the Motor City. This is actually a copy that I think my wife picked up for a friend that still hasn't gotten to him yet. It's a great compilation. He'll go off on it. It does include a number of favorites, including a band called Bubek, which is friends of mine. And he has been talking about how the band Timmy's Organism does one of his favorites. So I've been after him and to go get a Timmy's Organism record, and I thought I would share one of my favorites by them. In fact, I went kind of through their collection, and it's like, oh, but this one, is that my favorite? Is that my favorite? And I just kind of stopped at this one. This is Eating Colors from, I think, 2017. Get a little better in there. They're a garage punk band from Detroit. It's a three-piece, a trio. Lots of guitar, heavy guitar moments on this. Timmy's lyrics are very sci-fi, kind of hallucinogenic or surreal, kind of trippy, wild stuff. Every one of the records this band has put out is great. Timmy has also been in a couple of other bands, my favorite of which is Human Eye. This was an easier pick for me to be my favorite. This is from 2008, I want to say. This is Fragments of the Universe Nurse. The sound in Human Eye has a little bit more of a Perubu thing going on and a little bit more of a chrome thing. It's still garage punk. Man, it's like they build a rocket to the moon out of leftover parts and duct tape and popsicle sticks and just went straight to the heart of the sun. Really, gritty, rust belt, raw, garagey, but also, like I said, some kind of sci-fi elements, influences from, sounds like Chrome and Hawkwind, kind of spacey at times. Just absolutely one of my favorite records of the 2000s. Get that cover in there again. That's Fragments of the Universe Nurse from Human Eye. Absolutely recommend that to anybody who's, into things like that kind of stuff. Another band that put out one of my favorites of the 2000s has come back in a kind of garagey style recently and made a new record. This is Eddy Current Suppression Ring, All in Good Time. This is a 2020 release. Just need a lyric sheet there and a very simple spot on there. They are from Sydney, Australia. Kind of a new wavy element to their sound, but still, got that Australian punk energy that you would, recognize from stuff like the Saints. Real kind of mantra-like repeated lyrics oftentimes. This one doesn't rage quite as hard as previous releases, but I'm still pretty pleased with it, and I'm absolutely glad to have these guys back. And I really, really hope they manage sometime to get a U.S. tour in, because I'd love to see them live, and I have never had the chance. Staying on a garage punk type of trip, this is an album, Fungus 2, by Wasted Shirt. It is, as far as I know, their first release, despite that title. There's no insert. Kind of a cool thing going on with the label there. They are, not sure where exactly they call home base it is. Ty Segall, if you're familiar with him, he's a garage punk or indie rock guy who plays in a number of different styles, and one of the guys from Lightning Bolt, who were a noise rock band. So it's kind of on the noisier edge of garage rock, or the garagier end of noise rock. I've only had a chance to spin this one time, but you know, I bought it just based on the pedigree, and I have been very, very pleased with it. I think it's a great new release. Speaking of noise rock, the new Today is the Day album, No Good to Anyone, is out. Of course, I went and immediately got myself a copy of that. If you don't know Today is the Day, they are a heavier, oftentimes even grindcore influenced noise rock band. They originated in Austin, Texas. Or not Austin, Texas, Nashville, although you would not think they sounded Nashville at all. But they, and I believe they live somewhere in Maine now. There's been a number of lineups over the year. One lineup featured 2 members of Mastodon before they went on to form Mastodon. Although I would really only compare anything Today's Day has done to the earliest Mastodon releases. He's got a real passionate fervor of a delivery. He's a real... Steve Austin is the guy's name. That's where I guess I got the Austin, Texas thing from. He does a... you know, the lyrics are kind of ranting, kind of almost a cult-like type of thing going on with them. They started out on Amphetamine Reptile. They were on Relapse for a little bit, and they've kind of been on their own in recent years. Great classic noise rock band. You know, obviously they were on AmRep in the 90s. That says that right away. But if you're into the heavier, more intense end of noise rock, they are a spectacular group to go for. Another newer heavy thing that I've been into, I picked it up, finally got a copy not too long ago, Immortal Bird. It's a female-fronted extreme metal act. They like to say, you know, we're just heavy metal. Of course, bands don't really like being put in the pigeonholes, but I think if you've watched me before, I kind of have trouble pigeonholing. Well, is this grindcore or death metal or black metal or black and death or whatever? This band is no exception. Thrive on Neglect is, by the way, the title of the album. It's got kind of atmospheric but gritty type of thing going on, similar to black metal in the guitars. The vocals sound more grind or deathy to me. They're shouted. It's a female-fronted band. It's on $20 Spin, who I think I might have mentioned once or twice, have been having a spectacular run of releases recently. That is no exception. Just a really, really great extreme metal record. If you're really looking to, you know, let out some tension from being locked up, that would be a really good thing to check into. Another metal thing that I found recently, kind of just before everything got shut down. This is Mother Teacher Destroyer. It is from 2004. It is the second release by Hidden Hand, which is a band featuring Scott Wino Weinrich, who he began his career in the Obsessed. He went on to join St. Vitus, restarted the Obsessed again after leaving St. Vitus. Then the Obsessed broke up. He started a band called Spirit Caravan. After Spirit Caravan broke up, he did this and joined a band called Place of Skulls at the same time. Place of Skulls featured, I want to say, Eric Wagner of Trouble. That record's really good. This, while he was doing Hidden Hand, this leans, you know, you can kind of tell there's kind of a psychedelic, cosmic, philosophical thing going on, and also some kind of tinfoil hat conspiracy politics type of craziness going on too. the sound is, it's doom metal, so of course there's that Sabbath crunch. It kind of leans towards a little bit of a biker rock thing and a little bit of a stoner thing too. Hidden Hand are one of probably my favorite, other than maybe St. Vitus, of Wino's many projects. He's had solo albums in another band called Premonition 13 since then, and some other stuff even. He kind of pops up every few years with a record. It's always great. If you're a doom metal fan, you know who he is. But if you're you're just newer to metal, and you're looking for something in a Sabbathy type of feel to go in deep, you could do a lot worse than looking into anything that Wino's done. He's got a great kind of howling low vocal, and he's an absolute guitar god. Just monster riffs. Also, fairly recently, going to switch gears pretty hard here, I picked up a couple of all-time hip-hop favorites of mine. This is Labor Days by Aesop Rock. This is from 2001. This is a recent repressing of this album. This is the album that made me, where I discovered Aesop Rock and immediately fell in love. Early on, his lyrics were a lot more dense. It's almost like trying to figure out what he's saying is almost like figuring out a puzzle. His vocabulary is off the charts. There's words all over the place. It's very dense lyricism. But when you start to pick it apart, it's absolutely brilliant and witty. The song Daylight, the second track on this, was the thing that really caught my attention. At the time, I hadn't really been listening to a lot of hip-hop. I was looking for something new and fresh. Someone suggested that on a message board. I checked it out and was absolutely immediately blown away. And the song Labor, there's a bit that starts with a lyric about life is not a bitch, life is a beautiful woman. Once I heard that, I knew immediately this guy is, a legend. He's going to be around forever, and he has not disappointed. He continues to make great music. More recent works, the lyricism has gotten a little more direct, although still quite as witty, and it still gives you quite a bit to think about. Just a brilliant MC, and that is his first great record, and still one of my very favorites of his. Another hip-hop favorite reissue I picked up recently, Quasimoto, The Further Adventures of Lord Quas. This is an alias of Madlibs. Madlib is a producer who's been around on a ton of very well-received hip-hop albums, and they are well-received for good reason. He is just a brilliant producer. This is him. He pitch shifts his vocal, so it's kind of high-pitched, and does some kind of eccentric lyricism. Show another. I really love the Zappa reference right there, and the characters. I love this cover artwork. It's jazz rap sonically, with quirky, clever lyrics. This is one of my very favorite releases. Most people like the first. I think most people like the first Quasimoto, prefer the first Quasimoto record. I happen to prefer this one, although they're both absolutely brilliant. And I think you'll find a lot of people agree that anytime he does Quasimoto, it's a good thing. Anytime Madlib really does anything, it's worth checking out. That guy was brilliant. Another recent pickup. This is a recent, I believe, reissue of a 1986 performance by the great Sun Ra. Pull out the inner sleeve here. Of course, it's got some crazy looking photos of Sun Ra, as you know, one of the great avant-garde jazz performers. It's relatively late in his career, but just a great show. The sound, I thought maybe wasn't excellent, but that's kind of what you get, and it's still just a fantastic record to sit down and listen to. And I'm pretty much just always going to buy anything that says Sun Ra on it. I love that guy. Another recent reissue. This is from 1996. This is Pulse Demon by Merzbow. Merzbow is a noise that's going to show up really in a really interesting fashion. It does have a little song list on there. Artist from Japan. If you know, if you're familiar with noise stuff, he's, you know, probably the most prominent name. Unlike a lot of my records where people will say it's just a bunch of noise, this kind of actually is just a bunch of noise. But it's fantastic and fascinating. It's also really wonderfully atmospheric. I find it's great to play while I listen to, or while I read, particularly comic books. This is a recent reissue on Relapse Records. I'm pretty happy with it as a reissue. I'm glad to have a physical copy of it. And, you know, that's what that is. One more thing. I've talked recently about how happy I have been with the recent run of Guided by Voices albums. This is no exception. This is Surrender to the Poppy Field. It's a another 2020 release. Once again, you know, classic sounding indie rock, classic Guided by Voices. I think this is his 200th record, something like that. He's always cranking them out. Anyway, if you haven't heard me say it before, I'm really, really fond of the current lineup, and I think they're doing a great job. All right, that's getting to be about, you know, the length I was looking for there. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for watching. Let's start some conversations here, and guys, get out there and make some videos. Thank you very much. Have a great night.